I was reading a book recently, The 5 Next Moves by Patrick Bet-David, and there was a really great chapter in there and just understanding what you want from your business and making sure that the dream you were trying to achieve actually matches your output. You know, there's so many people who dream big and they're like, I want to run this, multi-million-dollar business and I want to become a billionaire. And you have to understand that there is a level of output that goes there. You have to rise to that level. I mean, that's like, you're not taking vacations for quite a while if you're trying to be a billionaire. You know, Patrick talks about his friend. They were both in insurance, and Patrick wanted to open multiple agencies like all over the US. And this guy, he just wanted like one or two that he didn't really have to manage, and he was happy with what he was making, and that was working for him. His goal was not to run a billion-dollar company, probably because he knew the amount of output and the amount of effort it was going to take to run that type of business. Instead, he was happy doing less work, making enough money, and really not having to do much for it. It sounded like he had like a really good business system, so he didn't seem to be that much involved. And his goal was to make enough money so that he could travel and do what he loved. And he was happy with that. Whereas Patrick Bet-David would not be happy with that life. He was like, no, I thought he was crazy. He thought I was crazy. But the thing is that they both knew exactly what was right for them. And I think that's a super important thing that gets left out in business, especially, when you're working with a business coach and, you get someone like me and I'm telling you things to do and you can see the life that I'm living, and you have to ask yourself, like, am I operating on the same frequency as you, the same energy level? Because I do work a lot. I am producing content here for 2 YouTube channels now, okay? And I'm trying to help people grow their YouTube businesses so that they can have an online course that they sell. I love working with educators. And I have to make sure that I don't force my values on people, because what works for me doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for someone else. What do I mean by that? So I am home right now. I have no kids. I have a dog next door, so sometimes she barks and interrupts the video. But for the most part, I can schedule my content day in. So today my wife went to work. She's a nurse. She's working 12 hours, so I'm recording a lot of content. Tomorrow she'll be home. I might not work as much tomorrow. And I'm not the kind of person who wants to be grinding the content all the time. I listen to all the gurus and they're like, you got to post 50 million shorts, you got to get out there, you got to bust out the content, you got to put out millions and millions of videos and all this other stuff. You got to get exposure. And it does take a lot of work. But what I'm realizing, like, I've upped my content game, but what I'm realizing is I don't want to be part of that content grind. That's not a goal for me. And if that means I limit my growth, if I limit myself to, hey, I'm only going to make $1 million a year in this business, I'm probably okay with that. Because I know for myself, what's important for me is time. Okay? When I was younger, I had Hodgkin's lymphoma. I had cancer when I was younger. I was 16 when I got diagnosed. So I learned at a very young age that time in life is very precious. And I don't want to spend every waking second working. I love working. Trust me, there's days like a day like today. I could work all day. Yesterday, I literally worked 10, 12 hours. I literally worked all day. I was working on some website stuff, some sales pages we were updating, and I can work long days. But if I want to take a day off, like on Saturday, I did absolutely nothing. I did absolutely nothing. And you need to understand, what do you want? But you also need to understand, for the first probably 10 years of my business, this is including the music school, I didn't go on a single vacation. One, I didn't have the money to go on vacation, but two, I didn't really have the time to go on vacation because I was in the grind of building my business. And it got to a point where I was like, okay, I can start delegating, hire administrators, work up a team, get an editor here for me to do more content on YouTube. And it's about, what do I want from life? Okay? Do I want to be grinding all day? Not necessarily. And I'm okay with that. And that's what Patrick's trying to say. He's like, Listen, if you just want to make $1 million a year, or you just want to make $100,000 a year, that's fine. But the amount of output you're putting into your business has to match that dream. If you are only putting $100,000 a year effort into your business and your goal is to make $1 million, it's just not going to happen. Like, you just have to be realistic about what you're doing and where you want to go. So if you do want to build $1 million business, you may need to assess, okay, am I putting enough time and effort into making this $1 million business? Because understand, it's not only an effort thing, it's a time thing. It takes a lot longer to get a business to $1 million than it does $100,000. When I was doing my brick and mortar business, I think it took me a couple years to hit the 6-figure mark, make 6 figures in a business. And then, you know, within the next year, I made another 100,000. Like, the first 100,000's hard, the next 100,000's easier. But then it took me a very long time to get to $1 million in that business. It took almost 10 years, all right, to get to that next milestone. And some people would be happy and they'd be okay, like, I make $100,000 a year, I'm doing what I love, and I'm happy with that. And I'm not saying there's nothing, you know, there's nothing wrong with that if that makes you happy. For me, I need a little bit more than that. I want a slightly different lifestyle. I love to travel. Okay, next month I'm going to Scotland for 3 weeks. I want to be able to take 3 weeks off from work, go to Scotland, buy whatever I want, any trips, any expenses, and come home and go back to work when I'm ready. So a very important thing that you guys should do right now is to take out a pen and paper and really assess and ask yourself, what do you want from your business? What do you want? How much time and effort do you want to put in your business? How much time do you want to spend with your family? How much time do you want for yourself? How many trips do you want to take a year? Maybe if you love to travel like me, you got to write in, hey, I want to take 2 trips a year. That's my goal. My goal is to take 2 big trips a year. We take lots of small trips throughout the year. At this point, I'm traveling almost every single month. We take lots of small trips, weekend trips, but I want to have 2 really big trips where I go away for a month and I just enjoy myself and I get to experience life and experience things that I've never seen before, okay, like Scotland. Next, you should write out the goals for how you're going to get there. Reverse engineer. If you want to make $1 million, you need to reverse engineer. How long is it going to take you? What income and revenue streams are you going to need in place to get there? You know, sometimes it's having multiple ways of getting to $1 million. What do I mean by that? So say you have a program and it's a $100,000 program. Can you have 10 of those programs, because 10 times $100,000 is $1 million? Or if you have a program that makes $300,000, can you build 3 other programs like that within your business, and now you're on the way to making $1 million? You know, sometimes it's not just a single product that gets you to $1 million. It also depends on your industry. For example, guitar lessons. My entry-level products for guitar lessons is going to be much cheaper than an entry-level business product. Okay, I can charge more in business because, you know, guitar is a hobby. Business, people can invest time and money and make a lot of money off of that. So people in business are willing to spend more money. So if you're doing business, it's probably much easier to get to $1 million a year as a business coach with the high-end ticket item versus a guitar coach, you know, where I'm selling a course for, you know, $300, $150. Takes a lot. I got to sell a lot more volume in that business versus a business that maybe has a $5,000 item. Okay. So you got to figure out what's the plan of action, how are you going to get your goals, and what kind of energy do you want to put? Because if you're not willing to match the energy that's needed to get there, you're going to have to redo your plan. Now, if you're looking for coaches to help you along the way with your plan, then go watch this video over here where I tell you what to look for in a good mentor and coach and some of the bad experiences I've had personally with mentors.